understanding, finding, and importing management packs. Okay, so we're slowly getting through this process of putting together our operations manager infrastructure. We've configured the management group settings, we've discovered resources, we've got agents on computers at this point, and now we actually need to go through the process of installing the management packs. Now, if you remember, those management packs are really what contains the knowledge and information about all of the event stuff and performance stuff that you have in your environment, and it allows you to filter out the stuff that you really don't need. In this nugget, we're going to talk about the composition of those management packs and sort of some generalities associated with understanding what a management pack is and what it does. We're going to leave a lot of the specifics or the big details to a later nugget, but for now we're going to understand really from the basic level what a management pack is and really how to get it into our environment. Once we understand that, then we're going to go through and actually locate some management packs of interest. Now, there is a management pack catalog on the Microsoft website where you can actually go and download a large number of these management packs and ingest them right into your infrastructure. And we're actually going to go through that process for a couple of different management packs here. We're going to go through that process of installing those management packs as well. So once we have those management packs that we've downloaded and identified off of that website, then we have to get those into our environment somehow, and we'll talk about how you do that. And then we actually want to take a minute to talk about two different types of management packs, and those are what we call sealed management packs, as opposed to the other types which we call unsealed. Now, as we go through this process of locating management packs and getting them installed into our environment, you're going to notice that some of these management packs are going to have a lot of grayed out areas where we can't really adjust the settings of these management packs. Now, if you think about it, a management pack includes all the data really that helps you filter out what you want to know about a particular service that's in your environment. Well, you can understand that there may be some developers out there or some companies out there that don't necessarily want you to be able to dig into the specifics of those management packs. If you remember, management packs actually arrive in an XML format, which will allow you to natively just read that text. And so inside of that management pack may be some intellectual property associated with the company that releases that management pack that they may not necessarily want you to be able to see. It's the same thing like compiled code. Most companies don't provide you the source code for their product. I mean, it's very difficult to get the source code for the Microsoft Windows product, for example. And it's the same case with these Microsoft management packs, or these management packs for Operations Manager. Well, the process of sealing a management pack takes the XML code and actually turns it into essentially binary code so that you can't go and muck with it. Now, the ones that we're going to import in today are going to be those sealed management packs, but we're also a little later on going to talk about some unsealed management packs that we may necessarily create inside of our Operations Manager infrastructure as a custom management pack that we create ourselves. Now, there's a lot of stuff that actually goes into building a management pack, and a little later on in this series, we're actually going to go through the process of actually building some management packs from scratch. But these management packs that you're going to actually download from someone else, management packs that someone else has actually written and provided for you for your Operations Manager infrastructure, they are made up of a lot of different stuff. Really, this slide here is just really to illustrate to you that there's a lot that goes into there. There are different monitors that monitor for things on your computer systems and services and those sorts of things. There are rules that determine what happens when various conditions occur. There are various views and various views of data that allow you to see different components of what that management pack is searching for. There's knowledge and company knowledge in there. The knowledge is knowledge that is put in or text information about what's going on that's put into that management pack by the developer themselves. Or company knowledge, which is additional knowledge that you may add in your own environment that's specific to your own company that relates to the items that you may see, that alerts that you may see as a management pack finds them. There are certain tasks that may get fired off whenever a monitor or a view or a rule finds something that is pre-configured for it to do. You can actually assign tasks associated with the alerts that you receive. There may be various reports of data to give you illustrations of what the data is that it's seeing. You'll find that there are various overrides as well. We talked about that sometimes the management pack may not necessarily be correctly tuned for your environment, and when that's the case, you may need to override some of those behaviors so you don't get deluged with a bunch of information that is not useful to you. There are certain object discoveries that allow those management packs to get targeted and located what types of objects is it really supposed to go and find on your computer systems. And then there are libraries and dependencies as well, and these are essentially building blocks by which management packs are actually created. As you'll find, a management pack is going to be dependent on other management packs for some of its functionality. And the reason we do that that is because we don't want to have a bunch of duplication of data inside of our environment. And so pretty much every management pack in your environment is going to have some level of dependencies on others in the environment for its functionality. Now, to really help us understand this, let's actually take a look at a high-level process flow about really when Operations Manager is working with your clients, how it's actually pulling in that data and really why. Now, if you think about a typical computer system, on that computer system are going to be a number of subsystems that provide information for you about the status of the computer system and the applications that are running on top of it. You may have, for example, the event log. The event log has a bunch of event log entries in it, and perhaps you also have a performance log in there, and that performance log also has some entries that talk about the performance of that system as well. You may have the WMI store, for example, and that WMI store may actually have a bunch of information about the configuration of the system. It also includes a little bit of data associated with the other two. Now, all of this produces a large volume of data in any particular period of time, and a lot of that data is really uninteresting to you, right? Now, if we think about how we want to actually capture this information, we could potentially just put together a database, for example, and suck all this information into a database as we see fit. But the problem with sucking all that information into one singular database without filtering it first is that we have all of that huge amount of information in that database. And actually determining what information is valuable is sometimes difficult because you're just overwhelmed with the amount of data that's out there. And so really this idea doesn't really work in the enterprise stance. Now, the other thing we can do is we can still provide the same database as before here, but perhaps instead of just directly dumping this information into a database, instead we actually filter this information through these management packs. Now, all this information goes into this management pack, and the management pack includes the rules and the monitors and all the elements that are necessary, as we talked about before, to take a look at the data and to determine what of that data is really actionable information that is important to actually put in the database and important to alert us about. That seems like a great idea. Because if you look at, again, all the event log entries for one particular system over any particular period of time, you're going to say, wow, there's 8 million entries in there. But I'm really only interested in the 1 or 2 that may indicate that there's a problem on my system. That's the idea behind management packs, is they provide that filter so that the stuff that comes in your database and the stuff that you get alerted on is stuff that is useful and important to you. Now, the contents of a typical management pack is going to include a lot of stuff in there, and just like we said before, this is going back to our Operations Manager console here. You'll see we have our new DC Nugget agent that we've just installed as part of the last Nugget here. And if I go down to the administration node, or excuse me, the authoring node, you'll see here we have a number of objects that are made up inside our management pack. So our management pack has attributes, first of all, and these attributes define certain things that we may be interested in taking a look at, perhaps ports, or is Ruth Health Server, or is agent, or maximum queue size out of the health service. We have different monitors as well that define things that we may want to look for in the computers that we're looking for. So under Entity Health, we have 4 of these default monitors here, these aggregate rollout monitors that may be valuable to us. Under Computer, I can look at Entity Health as well and look for example, I'm looking for one that actually we can take a look at. For example, health service performance. We're looking at health service handle count threshold or send queue % use threshold. These are actually threshold elements that we're looking for as part of a particular management pack, as part of the agent component of that management pack. We have various object discoveries as well that include what sorts of groups are we interested in searching for to find these sorts of monitors. We have rules that determine, well, based off of what we found, what do we want to do? What's a threshold associated with monitoring host handle count? What is a WMI event module initialization failure? What is a rule? What sorts of behaviors should we be looking for out of our systems, and what should we do associated with those behaviors? When we identify behaviors that maybe we want to make changes to, we can then identify tasks associated with those, perhaps disabling audit collection or starting the WMI service or even pinging the server or reinstalling the health service recovery task. These tasks enable change associated with the behaviors that we've monitored through those other components up here under monitoring. And then we also have views, which are relative views of data that provide information about the data that we're looking for. So these are the elements that make up that management pack, and these are the filters, as we talked about, that allow you to filter that data and do things and alert yourself based off of conditions that are in that data. Now, if I go down here to the administration node, the actual management packs that are installed to our system are located here. You'll see the management pack nodes, and you'll see there are a number of management packs that are installed by default with the installation of Operations Manager. Now, why do we have this? We talked before about how the fact that certain management packs have dependencies on others for the data that they require. So if we go and scroll through here to find any particular management pack, maybe we'll scroll down here to Windows Server Operating System 2003 operating system. This is one that I've actually installed separately. If I double click this and go to the dependencies node, you'll see that in order for me to be able to do the things that this management pack wants to be able to do, it's going to pull information from those various libraries based off of what it's dependent on. And we're familiar with dependencies, right? Services in our servers have dependencies. One service is dependent on another server. It's the same way here in that this management pack has a dependency on the information in other management packs in order to fulfill its mission. Now, you may be wondering at this point, well, okay, that's great and all, but where do I get these management packs? A lot of them came by default with the installation of the operating system, but where do I find other ones that may be of interest to me? Now, you can actually create your own management pack. Right? If you right-click on Management Packs and choose to Create Management Pack, that'll actually allow you to create your own management pack. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff involved with actually creating your own management pack. And so you may not necessarily want to start from scratch when it comes to actually deploying and creating your own management packs. Good news. The good news is that Microsoft and other companies have made available management packs that they've authored on behalf of Operations Manager. This is a website called the System Center Operations Manager's 2007 catalog. And in this catalog are the known management packs that Microsoft has decided to index that provide all of those rules and all of those monitoring elements in there for you by virtue of the management pack itself. You'll see here that we can sort by Operations Manager or the product itself, 2005, 2000, System Center Essentials. We can sort by what sort of pack we're looking for or what the name is or who wrote the pack. There are a number of different companies that have actually written management packs for us, and also some keywords in that management pack. If I scroll down a little further, you'll see that by default for System Center 2007, Operations Manager 2007, that there are a number of management packs already pre-generated that we can freely download and install to our server. So for example, one of these here is a Windows Server 2000, 2003, 2008 Active Directory Management Pack. And you'll see if I scroll over, this management pack is going to add some additional things that we're going to monitor for on our domain controllers. It also provides a client perspective of monitoring of an Active Directory deployment. And so if I have an Active Directory, which I do because I have Operations Manager, if I have an Active Directory, I can download this management pack and it will automatically include a number of known items that I should be watching for the health of my Active Directory. So that may be a good one for me to download as well. I have DHCP Server here, for example, or SQL Server, or HPC Server, or the Windows Server Operating System. This is a good one because this one includes all the basic stuff that we want to do for monitoring the Windows Server Operating System 2000, 2003, and 2008. These are just the basic core counters associated with the health of a specific server operating system. And so that's another good one too. And as you'll see, if we scroll down here, we have application virtualization and OCS 2007 and the service level dashboard. These can get very, very specific associated with the technologies and the services that I have installed into my environment today. Now, once you've identified which of these are of interest to you, you can actually go and click here to actually download them. So let's see, I'm interested in OCS 2007. If I click here, you'll see it'll take me to another screen where I can download the actual pack as an MSI file. Now, I've already done this. I've actually already downloaded 3 of these management packs so that we can take a look at them and import them into our environment. What I want to tell you, however, is that when you're going through the process of looking for the management packs of interest to you, be very careful about downloading too many of them. Because all of these filters are going to filter through the information that you have to try to find information that is valuable. If you don't have Office Communications Server 2007, then there's no need for you to install the management pack because it has no relation or bearing in your environment, and you could actually end up having some difficulty associated with it finding problems that don't relate to the fact that you have Office Communications Server. So be very cautious about which management packs you download and import into your environment because you don't want to include those ones that don't make any sense. I've already downloaded a couple of management packs here. In fact, I've downloaded 3 of them. You'll see here if I double click this little folder that I've created, I have 3 MSI files. The first is that Active Directory for 2000, 2003, and 2008. I have another one here for SQL Server, and I have another one here for Windows Server Base OS. These 3 management packs, because I have a domain controller and I have a SQL Server, really correspond with the technologies that I currently have installed into this evaluation environment. And so it makes sense for me to actually download these management packs. Now, before actually starting the filming of this nugget, I've actually already installed 2 of these management packs, or unpacked 2 of these management packs to our environment. That's the Windows Server Base and the SQL Server Operations Manager one here. Let me show you where those actually go to. If we click on My Computer, and we go to the C drive, and we go to Program Files, you'll see a location here called System Center Management Packs. Now, all we've done at this point is unpack 2 of these. You'll see that we've taken them out of the MSI file and installed them, and they install a number of files in here, MP files, a rich text document, a WordPad document. All of these are information that is needed by Operations Manager to import in that management pack and to provide the information there. We want to actually install this last one here, which is the Active Directory 2000, 2003, and 2008 management pack. And we do that by double-clicking the management pack, and it opens up your standard MSI installation. Let me click I accept here and click Next, and make sure that I install it to everyone. You'll see it installs to the default location here, and it has a subfolder for that based on the name of the management pack. I click the Next button and install, and all it does is unpack out of that MSI file into that location that we were at before under C Program Files. You'll see here that brought forward is that Windows Server Active Directory information. If I go back one level, now I have all 3 of these management packs unpacked and they're ready to actually complete the import into my Operations Manager infrastructure. So I'm going to go ahead and close this down here and close this down. Once I have those unpacked, the next process to actually get them into my Operations Manager infrastructure is back here under the Administration node. To import in a management pack, I right-click Management Packs and choose Import Management Packs. Now, I told you that I've already installed this Windows Server Base OS at this point. What I want to install is the Active Directory management pack that we just unpacked. Let me double-click this now. You'll see that there are a number of management packs in here for Active Directory 2000, 2003, 2008, client monitoring, and even a library. Now, we talked before about the dependencies to make sure that one management pack has to have some dependencies on other ones. And generally, when you unpack these, the more specific management packs are typically going to rely on a library management pack for a lot of their functionality. Now, we have an Active Directory Server 2003 here. Let me show you what happens if I try to install the discovery component of our Server 2003 Active Directory without actually installing the library. If I click Open here, it's going to bring forward the Management Pack Import Wizard. And you'll notice here that, well, wait a minute. This isn't going to be successful for us because, as you'll see down here, this management pack requires the library pack. I can do that by clicking the Add button and choosing Library and Open. And you'll see now that because both components are installed, I now have the necessary prerequisites to make that a successful installation. Now, I've only done the discovery portion at this point. You'll see that there's also a monitoring component as well. If I double-click this, it'll add in that monitoring component, and as you'll see, it also requires another component here. It requires the Active Directory 2000 discovery and Active Directory 2008 discovery. If I add those back in, 2000 discovery and 2008 discovery, we now have all green checkboxes. That means that we can successfully import in this management pack, and the correct prerequisites are available there. The correct dependencies are available to make this a successful import. I'll click the Import button. And you'll see that the import process actually takes a couple of minutes as it ingests all that information into our database. I'll go ahead and pause the recording until this completes. And we're back. You can see here that the import is actually successfully completed. Let's click the Close button here. Now you'll see if we look down, we should actually find those new management packs available to us here in our library. Let me go ahead and hit the F5 button here to refresh the screen. And we'll see here we have Active Directory Server 2000, Server 2003, and Server 2008. We are now actually going to begin the process of monitoring our Active Directory based off of those servers that relate to Active Directory. Now, we'll talk a little bit later on about targeting and how targeting works in the discovery process of discovering which assets are actually Active Directory assets a little later on in a future nugget. But at this point, recognize that what Operations Manager is going to do is identify which are our Active Directory servers and begin applying the filtering rules that we have inside of these management packs to those servers that make sense. Let me click back here on the monitoring node. You'll see if I click back on the monitoring node that we have now the Windows operating system in here. That Windows operating system is one that I've already installed previous to now. If I want to add in new columns, I can do so by actually adjusting the view. By right-clicking computers, I can choose to personalize the view, and maybe I want to add in the columns associated with the management packs we just added. For example, Active Directory Domain Controller Server 2003. If I click this checkbox here, I'll actually add that column so I can take a look at those servers that happen to correspond to being an Active Directory domain controller and what their health may be. Now wait a minute, you'll notice here that I show critical. I show a critical based off of this Active Directory domain controller server, and that makes this server critical on its entire state because of the roll-up associated with that. If I go back to Active Alerts now, you'll see that now, because of the management pack that I've actually imported, I now have, based off of that domain controller, the knowledge that something's going wrong with that domain controller. You'll see here that the logical drive holding the Active Directory log file happens to be low on free space. I now have that as a new piece of information because I've imported that management pack with that filtering rule available in there. That gives me, again, a better situational awareness of what the servers are in my environment and how well they're performing. But we'll talk more about those processes when we talk at a later nugget about the entire day-to-day operations of dealing with Operations Manager and dealing with these alerts. There's one more thing I want to show you when it comes to the process of administering your management packs. Let me go back here to the administration node and back to management packs. There may be a situation at some point where you've imported in a management pack and you've determined, well, that's not really something that I'm interested in. The information in that management pack is not useful to me. You can actually remove management packs as necessary by simply selecting the management pack of interest and choosing to delete that management pack. Now, if that management pack has other management packs that are depending on it, well, then you're going to have a problem because you have to make sure that the dependencies are gone before you can eliminate any particular management pack. Again, if you go back into the management pack and look at the dependencies, if any management packs depend on that management pack, well, then you're going to have to get rid of those first before you can eliminate that management pack. This eliminates any sort of conflicts because you've eliminated dependencies along those dependency strings and prevents you from having corruption. So make sure that you eliminate any dependent management packs before you delete the ones of interest to you. So what have we talked about in this nugget? We've talked about really the process of dealing with management packs, those that you would download, for example, off the Microsoft website or get from a third party. These are those sealed management packs. We talked about what a management pack is and understanding what that management pack's role is inside of your Operations Manager infrastructure and really how and where you can find those management packs of interest off of that Microsoft catalog. Then we talked about the process of installing management packs to Operations Manager and even how to get rid of them if necessary. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.